Hi guys, it is Caitlin 123 ABC here, and I'm here with a board full of words. Sorry you see one of my eyeballs. I don't know how to set this up for you guys to truly see everything that's going on up here. Um, so I was looking through my Pinterest today, and I stumbled upon this thing called verse mapping, which is like the coolest thing ever, and I wanted to try it. Sorry if it bothers you, or only seeing part of me. But anyways, I found verse mapping, which is basically taking a verse of scripture and really digging into its guts and finding all the stuff in it. So I decided that once I found a verse in my Bible reading that I wanted to do, that I would verse map in. So this is my first verse map, and I feel like pretty proud of it. So let's go ahead. I have my Bible here. I have just an NIV Bible, and I'll just read you the little verse that I have, which is Matthew 10:16, and it says, "I'm sending you out like sheep among wolves, therefore be as shrewd as snakes and as innocent as doves." So that was mine, which you can read up there at the top, and avoid the underlines because we'll just like go back to that soon. But I wanted to kind of talk to you guys a little bit about the context. So basically this verse mapping is getting into the guts. So I have context, and that's just kind of for you guys. I kind of know the context because I was reading the word. And then I have over here different, I wrote out the same verse in different, why can't I think of it? I wrote it out in like different, like ESV, Amplified, and King James, not just NIV. I did it in all the different versions. Obviously not all of them, you can't do all of them, but I wrote them out in a few kind of popular, big, common versions. And then over here I have kind of either synonyms, symbolism, or kind of definitions of stuff all in here in blue. And then I have, this is kind of like a big chunk of stuff. So this is like defining kind of the big things, what it's kind of underlying saying. And then here, so I just have things kind of all chunked out in different places so you can see everything. So basically the context, though, we'll go over here to this context area in the black. And so kind of what's happening right now is Jesus is talking to his disciples about a mission trip they're going to do. And that's basically it. But usually whenever, the Lord's talking to his disciples, it can be broadened out a lot of the times to include believers, even here in the here and now. And so in this context, Jesus is talking to the disciples about a mission trip, but you can usually kind of broaden it, and kind of like another underlying thing I think is what he's talking to the disciples about is kind of how things are going to be when he descends into heaven after he dies, which obviously has not happened yet. After he descends into heaven once he raises from the dead, and then he is no longer in human form on the earth. So it can be brought into us here in the here and now as well. So that's kind of the context that it's in. And so kind of getting into, we'll go up to the first part, but the second part I thought was really interesting. Actually, before we do that, I think a really good thing is writing the things out. So kind of seeing the differentiation, kind of getting some more synonyms for the words that can be taken several ways, because that's another hard thing about the Bible, is that you can take a word and it means different things. So that's a good way. So this stuff in the purple here. So this one's in the ESV, and it says, "Behold, I am sending you out as sheep in the midst of wolves. So be wise as serpents and innocent as doves." And then the second one's Amplified. And then it says, "Behold, I am sending you out like sheep in the midst of wolves." And here, I'll move this down for you guys so you can see. "Be wary and wise as serpents and be innocent." And then this is in parentheses, "harmless guileless, I think that's the word, and without falsity, and then close parentheses, as doves, and that's amplified. And this stuff obviously is not like actually in the Bible, but it's just trying to kind of expand on what it's saying, kind of like basically giving other synonyms to the words. And then this last one down here was in King James, and it basically had the same as amplified on top. It says, "Behold, I'm sending you out like sheep in the midst of wolves." And then it says, "Therefore wise as serpents and harmless as doves." So that was the King James. Hopefully that doesn't completely fall. Okay. So I really like that, because then it really does go more into the snake thing. You see a lot of different kind of similar synonyms over there. So I really liked that the Amplified, which I have a little green dot over here because it gave the verse Genesis 3:1, so I wanted to see what that had to say. And it said here in the green, "Now the serpent was more subtle and crafty than any living creature," which is a pretty classic verse because it was right in the beginning talking about Adam and Eve. And that's from Genesis 3:1, and that was also in the Amplified version. So I looked up what subtle and crafty were, and so we go over here to our definitions-ish area. And so subtle is so delicate or precise, and then crafty is clever at achieving one's aims by indirect or deceitful methods. So that's kind of what those are, because and then you kind of do think about snakes, and you think of them in a really negative context, because the snake was convinced Eve to eat the apple and everything, and it's really put in the context of being evil. Whenever you see these kind of things talking about like you're a snake or a serpent, it's like really negative. And honestly, in this context, I don't think it's really meant to be like evil or in a negative context. But I really liked how the NIV used the word shrewd, because I think it really got what the Lord was trying to imply here with using a snake as the example. Because shrewd, I looked this up just on the dictionary, and it says having or showing sharp powers of judgment. I love that. Or astute. And I really like that. So it's kind of be like have good judgment, basically, is what this part is saying right here. And then you look down, innocent as doves. That's pretty obvious as well, because you think, when you look in the Bible, and in general in life, not just in the Bible, doves are really considered as a symbolic of purity or peace, which you can kind of read. So they're very pure, and they're are symbolic of peace as well. So it's kind of being, which I looked up what innocent, because innocent was used several times to, on several of the different versions. So I looked up innocent, and then some synonyms of innocent are guiltless, blameless, or faultless. So basically being pure as doves. So I think it kind of negates the evilness that you do kind of think about when you think of snakes. I think it kind of just negates, so it's saying good judgment and be pure with what you do. So it says, so I think that kind of explained what that was. And then down here in the red, I really wanted to figure out kind of what it meant by sheep among wolves, because you hear a lot of things like sheep in or wolves in sheep clothing, and so that's kind of a common phrase, but I really wanted to understand what it meant, sheep among wolves. And so this in red, which I will bring you down here, and I'll actually pull you guys a little closer so you can sort of see everything. Sorry that you guys can't see everything perfectly, but kind of this red area right here. So sheep, I think in this context, are talking about the disciples. So I'm sending you guys out like sheep. If you guys can kind of look up there, like sheep. So I felt like that kind of meant the disciples, and we can kind of broaden that like you do to talk about us or Christians. And so when you think of sheep compared to wolves, you think about sheep, and they're obviously the prey to the wolves. So I think that was important. And then wolves, I think in this context, are like God haters or non-believers. And wolves are definitely the predators over sheep. So the predator over the prey. So I thought that was kind of an important thing to note. So I thought that kind of explained that part too, where I could kind of understand what it meant. So it's kind of saying, like, I'm sending you out like prey among predators. Therefore, have sharp judgment and purity. So I kind of felt that what it meant. So kind of what that meant is, and I put it here by meaning at this bottom part right here. I'll kind of try and pull you guys a little closer there. Hopefully you guys can sort of see. So it says, basically what I think it meant is that you're going to face persecution as a believer. And it kind of talked about, when I looked up stuff on Bible.org to kind of get some other input from people who, you know, are very smart or whatnot, having multiple opinions about what the verse meant. I looked it up in Bible.org, and it was talking about how they had already faced persecution, they were facing persecution, and they will continue to face persecution in the future. And so yeah, so it's like that is a universal fact. It's not going to go away anytime soon, that there's going to be persecution for your faith. And so as a Christian, sorry my pillow. And so let's see here. And then so for that reason, which that's what the word therefore means. So for that reason, so because you're going to face persecution, have sharp judgment, and but yet be pure, or be without falsity, or be blameless. And so I did want to look up what persecution meant too, because of course I had to. So it's here in the blue, and it just means hostility and ill treatment due to race or political or religious beliefs. So that's kind of what everything is. So I thought that was really interesting, and I think it was a really cool idea. So that is basically my map, and I feel like this is so good because this really helps you dig into the word. So this would be kind of the first part, because I don't want to just have it on my whiteboard. I want to have it in my my journal, so I could kind of, you know, draw like a little sheep picture, and inside the sheep just write like all of the what I think that means and everything like that, so you can kind of make it more like aesthetically pleasing. So that's why I like writing it out on a whiteboard. But I really hope that you guys kind of think or consider to put this in your own devotional time. I think it's really good, so you can really dig into something that you don't understand, and I think that's important to do. Reading a book that, you know, is so complex, and so I really think that you guys should use this in your devotionals, and I hope you guys enjoyed, and that you continue to enjoy reading scriptures. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys have a wonderful 2017. It's the new year, so I hope that you guys have a wonderful night. Until next time, talk to you guys later. Bye!